when they open their gifts. That the Christmas tree is all set up nicely. All that yellow pretty little Santa Claus trucks. Give presents. Being with my family. A Christmas tree. Probably gathering around family and like opening presents and singing carols and a bunch of Christmas traditions. I love celebrating God. Seeing my family and spending time with them and seeing my elf Roxy. Traveling to see family and opening gifts. I like Christmas the most because I like to celebrate opening gifts and having time with my family.
The thing that I like most about Christmas is when the elf comes, because then me and my sister we just run around and we go looking for him around the house. And the day that all the presents are up, we just jump on Mom and Dad and are waiting for them to wake up so we can start opening.
That you celebrate every presents. Family.
Oh, hello, and welcome to a not-so-silent night. Let me just say I'm so glad you're deciding to join us, and I really hope that you have some fun tonight as we walk through the Christmas story in a way maybe that you've never seen before. And so let's just get into it. Let's check out Flannelgraph Theater. Why are these wise men wandering in the desert in the middle of the night? Who are they? And why are they following this new star that has appeared in the sky?
Hey guys, I'm the new star. Follow me, I'll lead the way. Now, do you guys know where to go?
South?
South? I thought you said north.
What is compelling these men to follow a new star in the sky? Well, to answer that, and maybe understand what these men are thinking, let's go back in time. Way back in the day, God made a promise to a man named Abraham that someday his family would be huge and that God would care for them and that someday the greatest king of them all would come from his family. Abraham had no idea what this meant, but he did his best to follow God every day. Quickly, Abraham's family grew into a nation called Israel, and their people were called the Israelites. However, over the years, the Israelite people stopped following God like their ancestor Abraham had. And when this happened, God would allow them to suffer the consequences of their actions. Foreign rulers would come and conquer their nation and take the people to their countries. Because of their repeated failures, God would send prophets to declare the word of God to the Israelite people. The prophets also would tell of a coming king that would be greater than all other kings, and that this king would set things right again. And while the people lived in these foreign countries, they remembered the good times and they remembered God's strength while they longed for home. God would sometimes send prophets to speak to the foreign kings, and sometimes the foreign rulers would study the writings of the Israelite people and send them home. Maybe, just maybe, these wise men had read the words of the prophets and knew that the Israelite people were waiting for this new king. After all, this star had never been there before. It had to mean something, right? And they knew they had to check it out and to see what it was all about. Ferb, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to follow that star and see where it leads. You're right. It might have something to do with the Israelite king. Gifts are a great idea. I've never had to buy gifts for a royalty before. Kids, what do you think we should get? You're right. A gift card to a chicken restaurant that is closed on Sundays, but we can't say the name due to copyright infringements. A wooden spoon and a cat. Those are great ideas. Not sure where we would find some of those things. We do have some gold, and well, might find someone important, so that'll be valuable. And I'm sure they will want to smell good too. Say, Ferb, do we have any of that frankincense and myrrh? Great, let's take those with us too. Say, have you seen Perry? Well, I guess he'll just have to catch up with us. Day and night. Night and day. The wise men followed the star to an unknown destination, to an unknown person. Their journey took them to Jerusalem, where they met King Herod. They asked him what he knows about the star, and if there was a king born nearby.
What are you wise men doing here? Barry the platypus? What are you doing here? Oh, it's just 3 wise men. Wait a minute. It's 2 wise men and Perry the platypus. No, wait. It's just 3 wise men. Oh, I'm so confused. Anyway, what are you doing here?
Well, sir, we have been following the star for a long time, and we think that has to do with the baby king that has been born. And we were wondering if you knew where he was, if you've met him, and if you think he'd like our gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
A king? Here? Oh, why am I always the last to know about these things? No, I haven't met this king, but if you find him, would you let me know so I can come visit him and give him a gift? Might eradicate a baby kinganator? I don't think we should let him know about this king.
I agree. Soon the wise men find Jesus and deliver him his gifts, and they worshipped him too. This seems strange for some guys who knew nothing about Jesus before they met him. If you want to hear why this happened, hang around, and we will hopefully answer those questions later. Well, what did you think of the 3 wise men? Well, actually, 2 wise men and Perry the platypus. Or was it 3 wise men? I can't remember. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our little story, and there'll be more to come in the following weeks. But right now, the next thing we're going to do tonight is have craft time with Amber. So sit back, grab your craft supplies, and have some fun.
My name is Amber. I'm here to help you with the crafts that you got for your craft packet. Today we are starting with day 1, and that is the nativity scene, which is this cool little thing right here. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need the panel thing right here, and then you're going to need a glue stick, this packet that has the little glass panes, those square glass things in it, and the little tissue paper and tape. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take out the tissue paper. And the panes, maybe. No. Right. You can ignore your directions. I'm going to walk you through this, and we kind of did things a little bit differently than the directions tell you to, but actually the directions do have the tissue paper in it. So you should have 4 different colors. You should have purple, blue, yellow, and white. Those are the colors that I worked with when I made this thing at home. And then you should have 4 clear squares. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squares. Alright, so first we're going to take one of the squares and you can kind of separate them. You can put your tissue paper on your squares as however you want. I like to do a pattern. Usually I did a weird pattern for this one, so it might be something different today. But then we're going to take our glue stick. You might have to use your glue stick a couple times just to make sure it sticks, but it shouldn't be too difficult. So what I did first is I went ahead and I went around in the square, traced it in the square, and then, you know, filled it in the middle, kind of like you're coloring. Well, fun coloring at least. Alright, I'm just going to keep that open right now, and then you just take one of your squares, one of the square tissue papers, and then just push it down on the thing. And then if you need to move it before you're ready, that's fine. It kind of moves on its own. And then you can just go through and put those on. Sometimes the squares will stick to your fingers if you have glue on them, so just, it's alright if that happens. Just take it off easily and it should come right off. And I also like to press mine down just to make sure that it does sit down there. I'm going to start with the glue. This is sticking to me more now than it was when I did it at home. Yeah, just take your time. It's no rush. It's just a fun activity that we're doing. You just go through and you just kind of place the squares. It's okay if they are on top of each other, overlap a little bit. Everything will still turn out great. Yeah, I'm doing my pattern where I start in a pattern and then the next row I take the second color onto the next row just so they're not all one color on one side. But if you want to do one color on each side, that's fine too. I thought about doing, oh there, I'm going to have to put my glue here. I thought about doing each pane all one color since there's 4 different colors and 4 different panes, but then I also kind of like the idea of the different colors together, so that's what I ended up doing. The glue will be kind of slippery too for your paper, so but that's okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect on there. Different variations of it, different ways to do it are going to look nice either way. So I think in the instructions it has a picture where people did it instead of in square shapes, they did it like the diamonds instead, and it turned out nice too for them. So as you can see, the glue and paper is sticking to me a lot. But I'm usually messy when I do crafts, so that's how that always goes. Alright, now I'm gonna do... Wait, no, it's blue. And if you end up doing a pattern and you end up messing up a pattern, it's okay. One of my things on there, I ended up accidentally messing up a pattern, and I was just like, oh, this is fine. It still looks nice. Alright, so that is one of the 4 panes. So when you do it, I think you should just go through and just press down to make sure everything is on there and sticking, and then we'll put it aside for right now until we're done with all 4 of them. Alright, so then you have your other 3 panes that you have to do. So for now, if you wanted to go ahead and pause your video and then finish your other 3 panes, we'll pick right back up. As soon as you're done, you can just press play and we'll just move on to the next step in this craft. Alright, now that you guys have gotten all your panes decorated, let's just kind of push the leftover stuff on the side. We'll get all of our panes, just kind of put them close for you guys, or put them close. Alright, so now we're going to take our cardboard thing, and we're going to kind of lay it flat as you can, because what we're going to do is we're going to take these squares, and we're going to tape them, to the sides. Like that, so that way when we fold it, you'll already see the reflection in it like this one. As you can see, it kind of goes all the way around. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna take our tape. So take one of your panes, put it on one of the pictures. And take our tape. Now I have a fancy tape thing here, thanks to Jonah. So, well, okay, I say fancy and it's kind of hard to pull, but yeah, so it might take you guys a little bit longer to do that, and that's okay. If you need to pause the video at any time, just go ahead and do that. But yeah, we're just gonna go through and we're gonna tape. It's a big piece of tape. Alright, so we're gonna tape it down at the bottom. If you can, try not to get the tape on one of the folding things. If you do, it shouldn't be too much of an issue as long as it's only a little bit. Because sometimes the folding can be difficult when it has extra stuff to fold over. So we're just gonna take a piece of tape to each side. And if you might need a parent's help for this, feel free to ask them. There we go. So that's 2 pieces. 2 more to go. Alright, now this side's the tricky side because it's part of the things that we're going to use to connect them together. So we need to try to make it a little even thinner. And honestly, you probably don't even have to have tape on that side. I'm just doing it just because I like to make sure. But you probably would be fine without having tape on this side because it's taped everywhere else. And then when we fold it over together, it should stay still. Alright, so now we're going to do that with all 4 panes. Just going to put this right here for right now. As you can see, some of my squares didn't make it exactly on there, and that's okay. And if you end up taping over it, that's okay too. And the instructions on the thing, it says to cut away the extra stuff, but again, we're not really going by those instructions. And 4 pieces of tape. Another cool thing that you can do is to take a battery-powered tea light and put it inside the scene, because it kind of opens up at the top. This one's kind of difficult, but it opens up and stuff, so you can put like a battery-powered tea light. Do not use a real flame. Do not use a real candle. Just use a battery-operated one if you wanted to, just to kind of helps illuminate it and light it up, and it would make for a very pretty scene. You can also take a string if you want and tie it through the hole at the top and hang it on the Christmas tree. All right, last one. Alright, now on this side you want to skip putting the tape on this side where you have the things that we're going to use to fold it over to hook it onto the other side, because it won't be able to bend with the tape, and plus it would stick on other things, so just put it on the other 2 sides and you should be fine. Well, 3 sides, this one, that side, and that side. Alright, now that we've gotten that out of the way, it's going to look like this. As you can kind of see with my lights, it's already kind of illuminated a little bit. But yeah, the inside will just kind of look like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it over. Now this is the tricky part. I had a really hard time with this. Alright, so first what we're going to do, what I like to do, what I find might be easiest, is to try to go over and try to fold on the lines here. Just kind of get them to make sure that they're bent and kind of folded. They kind of work easier that way for you when you work on folding it. So if you want to try to go through and fold over those. And then fold over the bottoms as well. Once they've already been folded over once, they're easier to work with. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take it, and these little sides right here, we're going to fold this over too, because it'll make it easier to put these in. We're going to put one in each side. Now again, you might need your parents' help for this, but you might not too. Some people have difficulty times like me, and some people can get it right away. You just want to push those in all the way. There we go. So now we kind of got it pushed on all the way where you can't really see the pegs anymore. So now we're gonna fold under. All right, so first, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of fold them all in. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this one down, the one that has like a half a rectangle down there. We're gonna fold that one down first. And we're gonna fold the other two over top of it like that. So it's kind of like when you use this to insert, it'll go right in. You might just have to work with it for a minute because sometimes it doesn't go right at all. Like, there we go. So there. So now we got the box already standing up, and as you can see, all the panes and stuff are in place, and it looks really nice. So now what we're gonna do, now you have these two pieces right here that have like the oval on the top, and then you have these two pieces on the side that have just slits. So we're gonna fold over the oval ones first, like that. And then we're going to take the one of the ones with the slits, and we're just going to push it through, slide it through like that, and then do the same with the other side. And I'm also going to go back through and try to make sure. There we go. So now it's all there, and that is our nativity scene. And like we said, you can also put a tea light in it, battery operated tea light in it, and it will glow inside, so that'll look really nice. And then you can also tie it on, or use a string and tie it on for an ornament for the Christmas tree, because you guys will probably be decorating those soon. Thank you guys for joining me, and see you guys next week.
I hope you had fun making your 3D nativity, and if you didn't have a chance to get it done, that's okay. You see, these videos are going to be available on YouTube and Vimeo and even here on this Facebook page, and you can watch them anytime you want with parents' permission and finish up that project if you need further instruction. Well, the next thing we're going to do is read the Christmas story out of the Bible, and then we're going to have a quick lesson on it, so please sit back and let's have some fun together. Tonight's story comes out of the book of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 through 8. After Jesus was born in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler, who will shepherd my people Israel." When Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star appeared, he sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child, and as soon as you find him, report to me, so that I may go and worship him." The story of the wise men is a very intriguing one. Now, traditionally, we think there's 3 wise men because they bring 3 gifts, right? But the Bible never speaks about how many wise men there were. But what we do know is that these wise men have been paying close attention to the stars in the sky, and they see this new star and they wonder, what could this be all about? Why is there this new star in the sky? And my question would be, well, why would they see the new star, and why would they associate it with this King of the Jews, this King to be born? What would make them come to that conclusion? And to understand that, we have to understand the history of the Israelite people. You see, long ago, God made a promise to Abraham that he would grow him into a great nation. And over time, that's exactly what happened. God grew the Israelite people into this great nation. And throughout their history, we see how God blessed them and caused them to grow and had caused them to have great success in military battles. But see, God constantly had to warn the Israelite people. As long as you follow me, I will be in your presence. But as soon as you begin to stop following me, as soon as you forget who I am, I must leave your presence. And over time, that's exactly what happens. The Israelite people continue to make choices to go against what God wants. They continue to choose to do what they want over what God wants. And there comes a time where God says, if that's the way it's going to be, then I'll let you suffer the consequences to your own actions. And sure enough, the Israelite people are captured by foreign countries and taken out of this beautiful land that God had promised them, a place that they had called home. And they were living as slaves in other countries, longing for the better times that they had in Israel, longing to go back, remembering the greatness of God and how He had blessed them and gave them great victory and gave them strength, and how He had made these promises to someday send a new and better and great king. But along with the Israelite people longing for this, see, they were in foreign countries, and these foreign rulers would take the sacred writings of the Israelite people that they had captured in the battles and in their conquering of the Israelite people, and they would have their wise men study their words as a way to maybe help them understand the people that they now have living with them, help understand their customs and their practices, to help better relate to them, so that when the Israelite people are asking for certain things, they understand why. And it's through these readings, the studying of the Israelite law and the Israelite rules and the Israelite writings, that these wise men would have seen this new star and come to the conclusion that this has got to be related to the birth of the Jewish king, this Israelite king that is written in their scriptures. And so they set off on this journey, not sure where they're going or where to go or how long it's going to take to get there, but they set off. And they come to King Herod. They're getting close to the end of their destination. They're getting close to the end of their journey, and they're just needing some help to maybe push them closer to the finish line. King Herod was completely oblivious to what was going on. You would think a new star in his general area, he would notice it, but he didn't. You would think he would have taken the time to get to know the Israelite people, much like these wise men had, but he hadn't. And so he calls together the rulers, and they say, Bethlehem is the place that you need to go. And so the wise men set off. So what does that have to do with us? Well, you see, there's times in our lives where we go through hardships, and we find ourselves distant from God. And we feel ourselves longing to have that closeness with God again, but we're really not sure how to do that. We're not really sure when or how it happened, but we are sure that we are far away from God and we are separated from Him. And we long for the days to be back in His presence. Through the Christmas story, through the birth of Jesus, through this promise that God has been making all along to set things right, to bring salvation to His people, He was making these promises all through their darkest and hardest times, when they felt the furthest from God, when they felt the most desperate for God. God was making promises that someday something better is going to happen. And the beautiful thing is in our hard times, God's still making that same promise now. He's still making that promise that if we turn to Him and go to Him to bring fulfillment in our lives, to bring us closer to Him, we can receive that through His Son, Jesus, whose birth the wise men have come to see, whose birth is why we celebrate Christmas. It's because of this birth of Jesus that this promise to the Israelite people in their hardest and darkest times is going to be fulfilled. A promise of better times, a promise of God never leaving His people, that He's always there for us. And so maybe in your life you haven't faced a whole lot of hard times, but they'll come. And if you face some hard times and you're not sure how to get out of them, take comfort in knowing that God is here for you, that He has delivered us His Son to give us salvation, escape from the punishment for our sin. And maybe you've gone through some of those dark times. Maybe you've suffered through some of those tough times, and you know that the only reason you got through them is because of God's great love, through the strength that He gave you in those times. And so Christmas is special to you because you get to celebrate the reason why you have that strength, why you had that wisdom in those dark times. Even in our toughest times, God gives us hope in His Son Jesus, so that even in our darkest times we may have joy in knowing better things are to come. And that's why we get to celebrate Christmas. That's what makes Christmas so great. Well, that's all I have for this evening. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and a great week, and I cannot wait to see you next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And until then, have a great week and Merry Christmas.